If you're looking for a simple, beginner-friendly camera that can do vlogging, photos, and even work as a webcam without spending a ton, this might be worth a look. So let's go over the FLATIC 5K digital camera. I'm gonna unbox it, go over all the different features and menu options so you know what it's like to actually use the camera, and then talk about who this camera is really for, all to help you make a better informed buying decision. So let's have a look at what you get in the box. So we have the user manual. And here we have the actual camera. So first impressions of this are it looks really nice. It's really compact, not too big at all. See, it fits in the palm of my hand. We have the dials on top and your standard buttons as well. And then here's where we have the SD card and the USB-C input. And of course the back, we have the screen. So this is a plastic exterior, so it is pretty light. So that can be a pro and a con of it being plastic. It's not as durable as your mirrorless or DSLR camera, but is lighter. You can flip out the screen, so that's really cool. That way you can take photos of yourself. Makes it really easy. And then you have your different buttons here, which we'll go over in a minute. And of course on the bottom, your standard 1/4 inch thread, so you can mount this on any tripod or wherever you'd like. Okay, and then we have a slot for the battery right here. So it'll look what else is in the box. So we have our USB-A to USB-C cable. We have a little lanyard that we can attach to the camera. So we can put this around our wrist. Then we have the actual battery. Looks like we have a case for our SD card. We have a nice little cloth so we can clean off the camera. It's always a nice touch to add these in. So that is it. That's everything that comes in the box here. Okay, so now let me go over the key features of this camera. So the headline here is that it's a 5K video and 75 megapixel photos. Now I'll be honest here, you're not going to get your DSLR mirrorless camera quality, but for social media, TikTok, for YouTube vlogs, the quality is actually pretty good, especially in good lighting. In lower light situations, the quality does drop off a bit. Things can get a little less sharp, so just keep that in mind if you're planning to shoot a lot indoors or at night. So the camera has phase detection autofocus, so it'll track the focus on your subject automatically. So it's not the fastest autofocus I've ever seen, but for casual shooting, it works pretty well. Another feature that's really convenient is the Wi-Fi transfer. So you can actually connect the camera to your phone and send photos and videos directly, no cables at all. So if you want to post something to Instagram or TikTok right away, you can do that without having to go home and plug everything in. So really convenient. What's also nice is you can use this as a webcam. So you just plug this into your computer via the USB and you can use it for Zoom calls, live streaming, online classes, or whatever. So this is kind of like an all-in-one solution, this camera. So those are just some of the main features that are great about this camera. So let's now go into the actual menus in this camera and go over just all the different features that you get with it so you understand how to use the camera and how to shoot with this camera. Okay, so a few things to cover here. First, battery is on the side right here. Let's go ahead and open that. And we can release the battery by just pulling this tab and pulling out. So here's the battery. So you want to insert it with the plus to the bottom of the camera and then the BL5C facing towards the front of the camera. And you go ahead and just push that on in. And you hear it lock into place with this little latch. So go ahead and push on down and slide on in. Okay, and then we have the SD card. SD card is 64 gigabytes and it is the micro SD card. So make sure that's inserted, and it does come inserted when you buy this product, so you don't have to worry about adding it in. And to put it back in, just go ahead and push on down. You'll hear it click into place. Okay, then let's get into the menu settings. So we can go ahead and turn on the camera, press the button on top right here, and we'll get the welcome screen. and it'll turn on. Okay, and let's go over the buttons on the side right here first. So we have the classic T and W, that's the zoom. So T is the zoom in. We have the 18x digital zoom. So this is a digital and not an optical zoom. So the quality is going to degrade as you zoom farther in. So just keep that in mind when you're zooming. And then W to zoom out. Okay, and then we have the play button. Just go ahead and press that. That's where we can view all our playback videos, photos, and do a slideshow. Okay, press the play button again to go back to the main menu. And of course we can use the trash can icon to delete those images as well. And we have our arrow keys, the OK button, and the DISP and menu buttons down here. So the DISP, one click will remove all the icons on the screen, and we can put them back in by pressing DISP twice. And as you already saw, that is the power button, and then to take a photo or start the video, we just pressed down on the main button here, and then we have our dial to go over all the different shooting modes. So we'll go over that in a second here. Let's first go over to the menu. So click the menu. Okay, so our menu options, let's go over some of these here. So we have the pixel inset. So this is the quality of the image, and we can go all the way from 3M to 75M. And then we have the smiling face capture. So this feature, the camera looks for a smile in the face and automatically takes a photo when it sees one, so you don't have to press the shutter at the exact moment. That's a really cool feature to have. I usually just keep this off though. And then we have the beauty option. That's what the menu looks like, just turning on or off these different menu items. And the beauty applies a skin smoothing, a slight brightening and blemish reduction in camera, so faces look a little bit softer and a little more polished, especially in close-ups and selfies. So you can have this on or not as well. Okay, and then we have the slim face option. And this is a face shaping option that slightly narrows or elongates the face area in the image, so it gives a slimmer look without changing the background. We go down here to the white balance. So this tells the camera what neutral white should look like under different light, whether that be sun, shade, fluorescent, incandescent lighting. That way the colors look natural instead of too orange or blue. So usually I just keep this on auto. There are a bunch of different options at the bottom left-hand corner there. There's sunny, cloudy, fluorescence. So I found that the auto white balance is best here, but you can mess around with these settings. It's another thing, and what's great about this camera is you can adjust all these settings and learn more about camera settings in general. So these aren't going to be as full-fledged as a DSLR mirrorless camera. The white balance on those more higher-end cameras, you'll have more options. But just having these presets right here just helps you get a better idea of what features are included in more professional cameras. Okay, and then we have the filter. Click on the filter. This just adds a creative look to everything. So again, experiment with this with black and white, negative, retro. So you have probably seen these filters before in cameras or in social media apps. You can go back out. Next setting here is the exposure setting. So this lets you brighten or darken the image on purpose. And this affects the overall image brightness without changing the scene lighting. So options here are -3 or +3. So again, it just adds more light to the image. And this just depends on how much lighting you have in your image at that point, whether you want to adjust the exposure or not. Okay, then we have the metering mode. I just usually leave this at average metering. Then we have image quality. Just depends on how much memory you want to eat up and how high quality you want the images to be. I usually leave it at super high quality. Next, right below that, you can see it's sharpness. Let's click on sharpness. So we have low, middle, high. And this is of course just how sharp the image is. I usually leave it at middle or low. High always seems a little bit too sharp and a little unnatural. Okay, next one below that is ISO. So this controls how sensitive the sensor is to light. So a low ISO of 100, 200 gives cleaner images, but this needs more light. So you need more actual light coming from wherever you're shooting. While a higher ISO, like 1600 to 6400, this helps in dark scenes, but adds that noise and grain. So ideally you want the ISO as low as possible so you don't introduce any noise or grain. Okay, so the first item is the image rotation. So the image rotation, this controls whether the camera auto-rotates photos for vertical orientation or portrait orientation when viewing or writing metadata, or leaves them as shot. So it just depends if you want them rotated or not. I usually just keep this off. The next one is icon display. Turn this on or off either. Okay, and then we have our focus mode. So we have autofocus, manual focus, and fixed focus. So autofocus, it'll automatically focus on the specific subject that you're pointing the camera at. And the manual focus means you have to manually do it. And the fixed focus it will have a single focus. So I'm not necessarily sure why they have both manual and fixed focus, as these operate pretty similarly. Okay, and the Wi-Fi, you can turn the Wi-Fi setting off. And again, you can connect your phone to the Wi-Fi. That way you can transfer photos and videos that way. Okay, now let's have a look at the different shooting modes. So go ahead and back out of the menu, get back to the main screen. So we're on the camera setting right now. So just a normal shooting for photos. Next, we have the video and photo. During the recording video, you can capture according to the set capture interval, single photo. So really recording video and photo at the same time. Okay, and then we have loop. And you can see the selection right here, this little notch that shows the icon that's selected and the mode that you're in. So this is for video. You can record video in continuous segments, for example, 1 to 5 minute clips. And when the card fills, it starts overwriting the oldest clips, so you can always keep the most recent footage. This is common for like dash cams. You can see the icon in the top left corner with the loop. Okay, and then next, you can do lapse. And lapse allows you to compress time to record video. Okay, then our next mode. So slowly is slow motion shooting. If we look in the upper left-hand corner here, we can see it's 1080p 2x. So it does reduce the resolution. When you go to slow motion, you can't record in the higher resolution when you're doing slow motion. And this is, of course, just good for slow motion shots. It'll use a higher frame per second, so you can capture more of these frames per second to get a smoother playback for slow motion footage. Okay, next we have the video option. It's very simple, just recording videos, and we're at 40K 30 FPS. That's a good resolution and frames per second to record at for most videos. And then the next option, we have the burst. So this allows you to take a specified number of photos in succession. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So you can hear those 3 photos being taken. So this is for more action shots, just so you don't miss your specific shot. You can take 3 at once. You can go and see there's the 3 shots that were taken right there in succession. Okay, and then we have the timer. So this allows you to take a photo after a specific interval. That way you can, set this up on a tripod and then take the photo, press the button, and then get in the shot. So I can show you an example of that. So that was just 3 seconds. Okay, and then the next mode, we have auto. So you can automatically take photos after a specified number of seconds. I personally haven't found much use for this mode. And then the next, that's just the normal photo mode. Okay, so here's a demo of me showing the slow motion. I'll just take a video I'll just go like this real quickly so you can see. Go ahead and start. All right, so then go to the playback. Video, there's our video. Go ahead and play it. So you can see it's much slower than where we actually moved the camera. We moved it much faster. Okay, so those are the shooting modes. Okay, so one important thing to note, there are some more settings to go over in the menu. So when you're on either camera or video, you'll have different menu options. So now we can go over the menu options for the video camera. So we can see in the top left-hand corner, 4K 30 frames per second, and we have the camera icon, video camera icon. So press menu, and so we have a few different settings. So we're on the recording resolution. So we have all these different options. As mentioned, 4K 30 frames per second is a good one to record in, but we have other options. We can even go into 5K at 15 frames per second and all the way down to 720p at 30 frames per second. So I was talking about the slow-mo earlier. So that's what this is recorded at, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Okay, then we can go back out. And then we have the same things, the white balance, the filters, exposure settings, the metering mode, sharpness, the video quality. So we have the image quality. So super high was the image quality that we have. Now we have 3 options only, high, middle, and low. The ISO, the same. Turn the watermark on and off. We can also turn on the recording of the audio as well here. So many of the same settings, just a few native to the video camera. Okay, so now we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison of an image shot on this camera, as well as an iPhone 15 Pro Max image. The same image, so you can compare both of them and see just the differences in the quality that you get from this camera. Okay, and then we'll also do a comparison of the video shot on this camera at 4K 30 frames per second, and we'll also do that compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max as well. Okay, so there are a few things to keep in mind with this camera. So first, the battery life, it's not amazing. You'll get through a few hours of shooting, but if you're planning a full day of content creation, you might want to bring a portable charger or pick up a spare battery. Second, like I mentioned, low light performance isn't this camera's strong suit. That's more for higher end cameras. It does best in good natural lighting, but indoors or at night, you'll notice the quality isn't quite as sharp. And third, the f2.8 aperture is decent, but it's not going to give you that really shallow depth of field or amazing low light performance that you get from a more expensive camera. So that shallow depth of field, so just meaning the background blur that you get, if you're shooting a subject, having that background blur while the subject is in focus, all of these features you really need a higher end camera for to get the best quality. But of course, that does come at a much higher price tag. So who is this camera for? This is really for beginners. So someone who wants to start vlogging or creating content but doesn't want to invest in an expensive camera right away. It's also a great gift for teens who are into photography or making videos for social media. Also, just someone who wants to learn more about cameras. As I went over all the menu settings, there are quite a lot, and it does have a lot of the features like ISO and white balance, but they're not as detailed as mirrorless and DSLR cameras. So this could be a camera just to start getting into shooting with more expensive cameras. So if you're more of a serious content creator looking for professional level quality, or you need something that performs really well in low light, this probably isn't the right choice for you. But for casual use, for learning, for having fun with content creation, it does a good job. So in my opinion, the FLATIC 5K digital camera is a solid entry-level option. You get 5K video, a flip screen for vlogging, Wi-Fi transfer, and everything you need in the box to get started right away. So it's not perfect. The battery life could be a little bit better. Low light performance is limited. That's definitely one quirk with this camera that can be improved. It's just them giving it a higher quality micro SD card with the actual camera. But for a budget-friendly beginner camera, this is definitely worth checking out.